So during that inspection, what should a buyer pay attention to, when it comes to the furnace and the HVAC system as a whole?
What the buyer needs to pay attention to, first of all, the buyer should be at the inspection. He should follow the inspector around because the inspector is going to show him more than he ever dreamed of in terms of how to maintain the house. And one of those things is, how do you maintain the heating and air conditioning system? And if you do it right, many times they'll last for a very long time. But if you do it wrong, the thing might fold up in 6 months or more. So what we tell them the most important thing is the maintenance. Here's where your filter is. Here's how you change it. Here's the frequency of what you need to do. Here's how you take care of your air conditioner, the frequency of service that you need to do. And then the most important thing after that is the age of the equipment. If we're looking at a 15-year-old air conditioner and a 20-year-old furnace or a 30-year-old furnace, they're going to be buying new equipment very soon. Like an HMS warranty, I think there's several of them out there currently, but they will be in the plus column eventually if they buy it on an older house. I bought those in many homes myself. If an air conditioner is toward the end of its expected life, that's going to run $3,000 to $5,000, maybe $6,000 to replace. So if it's older equipment, you need to be aware of that. You need to budget for replacement. Now, the mistake people make is they say, well, it's old equipment, we need the seller to replace that. Well, that's not going to happen. The seller is responsible for making sure the equipment works. He's not responsible for making sure you have new equipment.
What is the age at which we should start looking at potentially replacing those as homeowners?
Well, it's a good question. How old should the furnace be? The newer furnaces, the high efficiency furnaces, we see lasting somewhere between 10 and 20 years. An older furnace, like you might have had 20, 30 years ago, they often would go 20, 30, 40 years. They weren't very efficient, but they lasted a long time. But the newer ones, there's a lot of condensation and they're not holding up quite as well, and there's a lot more moving parts and things to break. So while you might not have to replace the whole thing, almost assuredly you're going to have to replace something on those. Air conditioners, pretty much the numbers haven't changed